Notice we've got a whole new set, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Let us know what you think. Also, number one, I want to talk a little bit today about self-esteem and being in your head and the relationship to your head and building your self-esteem or building your confidence. I run into a lot of people that are a lot of guys, a lot of men that are trying to build their confidence, but they're basically in their head trying to do it. They're trying to do it from this super analytical perspective. They're thinking a lot, they're analyzing a lot. They're spending a lot of time going through their thoughts and trying to rework their thoughts, thinking that's going to change something. And in actuality, that usually makes you more frustrated. I mean, think about it for a minute. The more you try to analyze and think about your problems, don't you get more frustrated? Don't you get more, doesn't it get more exacerbated, at least until there's some form of a release or surrender? The only exception to that rule is where somebody gets really frustrated, trying to fix something, and it's almost like the computer, the brain, the nervous system, the mind, whatever, overloads, and then has this moment where it just kind of has a huge release, and then suddenly realizations come to you. That's a very painful process, and it's a time-consuming process because that could take days, that could take weeks. For some people, that takes months to get to that point. So what I want to offer to you is a different idea. Start surrendering right away. Start learning to surrender right away. Start learning to let go right away. We talk a lot about this, and it's one of the most powerful tools for helping you to get into feeling and flow more, to relax more, to stop thinking, to have fun, to let go, to let your emotions connect with the people in front of you. That's the key. So I want to give you some basic tips on that and how to get yourself in a little bit more of a feeling state when you're processing your emotions. One of the things I always say is when you're working on coming up with a solution to something, you want to contemplate it, not analyze it. And contemplation is this act of going down into the feeling body and even pushing through all the heavy emotions to get to the actual gut brain or the nervous system, which will then provide you the solutions, versus going up here and analyzing and trying to think it through using your conscious mind, because your conscious mind really doesn't have that much brain power. You really got to surrender to something greater than yourself. And when you surrender to something greater than yourself, solutions start to show themselves. Now, when it comes to self-esteem, the real problem, or confidence, the real problem is all the negative emotions you have stored inside yourself, all the doubt, the worry, the lack of self-belief, the lack of, let's say apathy, grief, fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, all this type of stuff is what gets in the way of you and being confident. Because you're designed to naturally be confident. You're built to be confident. Everybody is. Every woman, every man on this planet is built to be free and expressive and open, and we get stories and beliefs and ideas and concepts and rules and all kinds of stuff stored in our nervous system that tells us how to be. And what happens is if you get a belief, let's say you're a child and you're totally carefree and you're playing and you're having a great time and you're doing your thing, and let's say dad or mom or somebody comes home, maybe it's brother or sister or whoever, and they start yelling at you for no reason. Maybe they're taking out some aggression on you from work. Maybe something bad happened at work that day for dad, and he got fired, and he came home and he was just in a bad mood, and he saw you being carefree, and he screams at you and says, you know, you can't be carefree like that all the time. You're going to have to realize that someday you have to grow up. And he's just really taking out his aggression on you. And you can feel that anger or that frustration transfer into your body because you're young and you don't have as much protection from it. Well, what does that do? That causes you to associate that carefree state with dad's anger or dad's frustration. And then you start to shut it down. Now, if that's one time, it's not that big a deal. You can process that out pretty quickly. But imagine that compounded out over a whole childhood into adulthood where stuff like that happens all the time. Maybe not just from dad, maybe brother, sister, dad, and you're all kind of participating in this process. Maybe even loving, well-meaning parents still have a lot of rules. Like a good dad and a good mother might be saying, you know what, money doesn't grow on trees, you need to work hard, you need to go to college, you need to get a job, you need to study all the time. When you have some leftover time, you can have fun, and life isn't all about fun. And they're being strict, but they're repeating it over and over and over again. And pretty soon you start to think, oh my God, I got to go out and struggle, I got to go out and work, life's gonna be a struggle, because that's the implied message with all that. Well, it's the same thing with women. When you look at women, what are the messages you got throughout your childhood around women? What were the messages you got about yourself from your friends, from your school, from your neighborhood? What are the messages you got about sex and your comfort level with sex, your shame that comes up? All of this affects who you're being and how you feel about yourself and your self-esteem. And so the process of letting this go is not analyzing all this stuff, because if you analyze it, you'll be analyzing it the rest of your life. And what you'll do is you'll learn to manage it. With analyzation, you'll learn to manage all these energies. And who wants to do that? I want to go free. I want to be happy. I want to have fun. I want to be fully expressive. I want to be my most confident self. And that's not by managing these energies. It's by letting go of all the emotions that bind them in place. Now, I'm going to say that again. It's by letting go of all the emotions that bind these experiences into place in my nervous system. An example of this is if I've got fear associated with approaching women, and I have a lot of stories where maybe my sisters mocked me about, liking girls, or my parents did. Oh, he likes girls, and they teased you a lot. Or maybe your friends teased you a lot, and you got a lot of messages that sex was bad, and you associated a lot of fear and anxiety, or maybe even grief, with sex, sexuality, and liking girls. So when you go to see a girl for the first time, you go to connect with a girl, all this stuff comes up. And what's coming up, more than the story is the end result that you hear and see, the memories of it and so forth. But what's really coming up are emotions: fear, doubt, worry. And even beyond the emotions, it's wanting to love yourself, wanting to believe in yourself and feel validated, wanting to have control of the situation. And in that, you birth emotions. So let's go back to the emotions. As we learn to let go of the emotions and the thoughts and stop analyzing them, and ultimately the wants, you start actually going more free. You naturally build your sense of self-esteem. So I want to welcome you to this idea. Get out of your head, because you can't do it from your head. So let's do a quick short exercise, and I really want you guys to comment about how this works for you. Some of you, it's going to work really well. Some of you, you're going to have a little more trouble. Depends on how much in your head you are and how locked out or how numbed off you are. But this is just a little meditation you can do every day for a while till you start loosening up. And we're going to play specifically with self-esteem on this one. So imagine there's a part of you that wants approval, or wants validation, or wants love. Find the word that's best for you, but approval is the base word. Then you could say love, you could say validation. And another way to look at it is you don't want to be invalidated, or you don't want to be rejected, something like that. But let's go with those first three. And I want you to start to relax down into the core of your body. You're going to do this. Most of you pull up a little too high with your head and lock out at the throat, and you can't feel down the front of your body. So I'm going to invite you to kind of lower your head a little bit and start taking your consciousness down into your body. Feel into your heart, feel into your belly, feel into your lower stomach. And feel any place you find you're constricting, shutting off, you're closing off. And just start asking that part of your body to open up. Wherever you're closing, ask it to open a little bit. And I want you to start asking your body to let go of disapproval. And so start doing that now, and just ask yourself, can you let go of disapproval? Can you let go of disapproval? Can you let go of a little bit more? And just notice if there's a sense of getting even 1% lighter in any of these areas. Anywhere there's constriction. Imagine you could put a tube in there and just start letting it out a little bit at a time. And can you let go of some more? And some more. And just keep that tube in there, and just keep letting go of more. And as you let go of more, notice if you're getting lighter and lighter, and just welcome that. And then let go of a little more disapproval. Now for some of you, you might be getting heavier. You might start to weigh down a little bit. That's the emotions coming up. Just keep going. Can you let go of more disapproval? Start to notice your legs and how they feel connected to the ground, or sitting, if you're sitting down, how they're sitting on the ground, your feet. And then just ask yourself, can you let go of a little more disapproval? And then just notice that tube there. And if you can, put the tube in a little deeper. If it's loosened up or lighter, put the tube in a little deeper. It'll either be at the chest, the stomach, or down usually a little bit lower in the body. And then see if you can let go of a little bit more. And a little bit more. And just keep doing this. Now relax for a minute. And I want you to start welcoming approval. Welcome the idea of approval into your body. Can you welcome approval? This sense of validation, this sense of self-love. Can you welcome some more? Can you welcome some more? And more. And more. And more. Now notice if you're having trouble welcoming approval. If you're having any trouble welcoming approval, this is an area where you still have a lot of disapproval or negative self-esteem. And so you'll have to continue to do more releasing until you can start to welcome some approval. You'll start to feel a lot lighter when you're welcoming approval. So see if you can welcome a little more approval. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And just keep welcoming that approval. Now let's switch back to disapproval. Can you let go of some more disapproval? Just notice where you're tight and start relaxing. Notice if you're tight in the stomach, if you're tight in the solar plexus, and just start relaxing. Notice if you're tight in the lower part of your body. Notice if you're tight in the chest, and just start relaxing in that area. And imagine you could put a tube or you could open a window there and just start letting a little bit out. A little bit of that tension, a little bit of that heaviness. For some people it helps if they imagine a color or an image that's releasing as you continue to let go of disapproval. And notice if you can let go of a little bit more. Now I want to ask you to not try to force yourself to let go. Imagine you're watching a movie. In the movie you don't control it, you just watch what happens. You go along for the ride. So as you ask your body to let go, I want you to just experience what it does. If it doesn't let go and says no, honor that and just keep asking. And you might get a little laugh or a chuckle at some point, and you might find it open. You might even say no and then notice a little lets go. That's fine too. So just notice if you can let go of a little more disapproval. And more. If your body wants to say no, let it say no. And can you let go of more? And more. And notice if it starts to turn into a yes, and if you feel a little lighter. And then let's switch back and go to approval again. And begin to welcome approval. Welcome this idea that you are starting to like yourself on some level. Love yourself, appreciate yourself. So can you welcome some approval into your body? Can you notice that approval comes from within, not from without? Not from the women, not from other people, but from yourself. So welcome some more of that self-approval. Welcome some more of that approval coming through your body. And just notice where you feel it. It might start in a little spot as a little tiny dot and then start expanding. That's how it started for me. I felt a little dot of a tingle almost, and it started expanding. So then welcome a little bit more. And then welcome a little bit more. And some more. And some more. And some more. And then one more time, see if you can let go of a little bit more disapproval. And remember, you're just watching, noticing what your body's doing. Relaxing any place that you're tightening or you're binding, and just feel that area loosen and let go a little bit more. And notice if you're getting lighter at all. Even 1% lighter is growth. One tiny spark can create a whole forest fire. 2 dots that you can't even see with the naked eye can create a whole baby. So tiny little release can grow into a whole life-changing moment with time. So see if you can let go of a little bit more disapproval. And some more. And all you do is relax and ask. You can do this with eyes closed, you can do this with eyes open. And then see if you can let go of a little more. And then one more time, welcome approval. See if you created some space for some approval or self-love. This sense of starting to appreciate yourself, starting to enjoy your own body. See if you can create a little more approval. And a little more approval. And a little more. And then welcome a little bit more. And then welcome a little bit more up. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And then just let it all go. And feel what it's like to open right through the center of your body. Relax your head down, open up, and feel your whole body relaxing. Feel your whole body opening up. And notice what that feels like. And notice if there's a change for you. For those of you that could get releases on the disapproval but couldn't get a feeling of approval, you need to do a lot more releasing on the disapproval. And what I'd recommend is sitting down and doing this for a period of time every day. Maybe you'll do it for 20 minutes a day. Maybe do it for an hour. I've done stuff like this for quite a bit of time, to the point where my whole body heats up and starts buzzing and tingling. But it didn't start that way. It took time to get there. So I want to invite you into this process. It's just one of many processes to start helping to change your nervous system and change the way you see yourself. I want to invite you into the idea that self-esteem comes from within. Now, as you're letting go of the disapproval, I want you to notice that different emotions and feelings and sensations come up. Could be sadness, could be grief, could be loneliness, could be some tearing, could be some anger, could be some pride, different emotions. Don't judge them, don't analyze them, just keep letting them leave one at a time. It's a meditation basically, but it's a focused meditation for releasing on self-disapproval and welcoming more approval. It has minimal thinking to it, and it's really about relaxing and letting go. You can also make it more specific. You can start to picture yourself talking to women and do the same exercise and notice all the disapproval that might come up in your relationship with women. You can start to picture yourself being intimate with a woman, kissing a woman, having sex with a woman, and do the same process. And start to notice what comes up. And it might take, for some of you, quite a bit of work in this area to make a big shift. But if you do it every day, even in a week, you're going to notice a huge shift, and then it's going to just compound and get bigger and bigger and bigger and grow. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to dive into the questions. I'm noticing it's rather hot in here today. It's rather hot outside. I'm starting to sweat a little bit. Hopefully you guys can't see that, but there's a little bit right there. But let's dive into the questions. So we've got, I think I got 6 questions today. So the first question is from somebody named Englishman. He says, "Thank you, Brian, for speaking to so many guys on this level. It's invaluable. A problem I'm having when journaling my daily embraces with tension is that I'm becoming too analytical in my approach to the problem and in the way I document my progress. I'm struggling to apply what I've learned from mistakes each day and get those 1% improvements." Somebody's been paying attention to my work, obviously. "Do you have any advice on how to become less analytical, as I feel my analytical mind is getting in the way of instinct?" Well, we just did a process. See how I lowered my head? Analytical is up here. So if you lower your head and start getting used to looking down into here and down into your lower body, that's where the feeling part of the body is. That's where all the emotions are felt and experienced and so forth. So this process of anytime you start thinking too much, coming down and just asking if you can let go, put a tube there wherever the clenching, tightening, gripping is going on, or wherever you're closing, or a window, and just start asking yourself to let go a little bit at a time, and then let a little bit more go, and then let a little bit more go, until you can start to feel something down in your body again. It starts to take you out of your mind. Another thing you can do is also start moving your body. Get out of your head. To be in your head, you have to be thinking a lot. Do something that has more expression, whether that's something like yoga or your own form of meditation that you like, dancing, going deeper into these releasing processes. They all train you to come out of your head. Coming out of your head is a practice that happens over time. It's not an instantaneous thing, but every time you do one of these practices, you're going to get more adept at feeling. What you do want to notice, Englishman, is that if you start thinking a lot and you start analyzing a lot, you start getting frustrated and your mind's spinning in circles, then you want to get out of that spin. So stop and start a process of meditation, surrender, get out from under all that frustration. Otherwise, it's only going to compound and get worse. Okay? So try the meditation I just did and let me know how that works. The next one is from Tyler. Tyler says, "I met a girl at the gym recently and we hit it off pretty well. I took her on a date the next day and I thought it went well. Ice cream, walking along the waterfront where I live, kayaking, and finally a movie at my place. She explicitly told me that she's never been on a date like this before and went on to say that she had a great time. I took her home. We made out at the doorstep to her apartment before I went home. I texted her later that night and asked her if she would be free sometime a few days later to hang out since we had a good time, and she said she'd be free. Now it's a few days later. She won't reply to any of my texts. She's posted on Snapchat a few times, so I know that her phone still works. Did I do something wrong? What can I do differently in the future to stop this problem?" I don't think you did anything wrong, as much as you probably did a lot right on that one, to the point where she might be a little nervous, a little scared. She might be feeling a little too comfortable with you, because it sounds to me like she had a great time and now she's a little scared and she's backing up. And what happens sometimes is a date goes really well. I don't know if you've been pushing at all. So there's several problems that happen when a girl doesn't call and she makes out with you and has a good time with you. One, she might have just felt attracted to you, had fun with you, had a blast with you, and she was turned on, but there was no real connection, deep rapport. So she disappears on you because, you know, he was fun, but, you know, I didn't feel it. He was fun for the night. I don't get that feeling from yours. Another one is the girl just plain wasn't interested, but she didn't know how to say no, so she made out with you, took off, and didn't call you back. I don't get that feeling either. Well, the feeling I get is that she liked you a lot and got a little scared, got a little nervous. Something happened in her personal life. She doesn't want to tell you about it. Something came up. You don't know what that is. So sometimes stuff is going to happen. The girls aren't going to say anything. But sometimes it's because they're scared. They're nervous. They get scared just like we do. And there might be a part of her going, I should call him back. And then with each day that she doesn't call you back, now she feels like a jerk. She doesn't want to call you back because she doesn't want to make you mad, but she likes you. But at the same time, she's scared. So what I would recommend doing in the future is well, really kind of do the same thing, but start to, in a sense, like even with this girl, I don't know how many texts you've sent her, but you can send her another text and you can call it out. It's something I call calling it out. And I would love to see that you do this and see what happens. But you gotta be strong and confident in the way you call it out. At the same time, a little vulnerable. Not vulnerable needy, vulnerable strong. So you can send her a text that says, you know, I don't know what her name is, but let's say it's Sarah. You can say, hey Sarah, you know, I'm really curious about something. And I've been thinking about it a little bit. I'm kind of wording this. I'd almost want to see it written to know it for sure. But say, I'm really curious about something. And this is where you get vulnerable. I had a really good time with you. I really enjoyed our date, and I really felt like you felt the same way. I felt like we had a really good connection. And I haven't heard back from you, and I was just curious. And I want to know if everything's all right. If not, or you don't want to reply, that's okay. I can handle it. I'm a man. But if you can, or no, I wouldn't even put that in there. I would just put the part, I want to know if everything's okay. And just leave it at that and see what happens. You see what's happening is as you get a little more vulnerable, you get a little more human. And she can feel your emotions. And that humanity is what causes her to feel a little bit of urge to reply. When you seem almost too confident, you're sexy, there's something about you, but there's almost like, does he need me? So your girl needs to know that she can affect you emotionally. And it's one thing if we're completely needy, now she's not gonna be attracted, but if we're a strong guy with some emotions and some vulnerability, then that's sexy. That's really sexy. So if I was to reword that a little bit, I usually have to write it out 2 or 3 times to get it right. And you only wanna send it when you feel good. But you're gonna feel a little nervous, but good. So you might say, hey Sarah, I'm just curious. I had a really good time with you the other night. I think you're really special. And honestly, I've been thinking about our date, and I felt like you had a really good time too. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I felt like you had a really good time too. So I'm just curious, what happened? Why haven't I heard from you? Something like that. Clean it up, make it nice, and just see what happens and let it sit out there. And it might take a day to respond. Now, I wrote something similar to that to a girl that blew me off for several dates. And I was like, whatever, I'm gonna send something and I'm gonna get really vulnerable. I think it was even more vulnerable than that at the time. And she instantly told me what was going on. And she apologized for it because she was scared. And her exact words were to me, I really like you, but you scare me and make me nervous. So I keep canceling on you because I like you so much. So by writing that text, I made myself a little bit more human. She could see that I really did care and I wasn't just wanting to go out with her because she's another pretty face. And in that, we were on a date within a few days and bam, it just went straight from there. So, so try that out, reword it, feel it. Make sure that you don't feel any sense, you feel a sense of vulnerability, but not a sense of begging in it, okay? A sense of opening up and sharing your emotions, but no sense of please respond, or, you know, I just want to know what happened. Are you okay? That needy tone. You got to take the needy tone out, okay? And then text us and let us know, or email us and let us know what happens with that. So the next one. We got the printer going off in the background. So the next one, when I'm walking on the street and doing things like complimenting women and smiling at them, I really want to let go and make it genuine, but I'm afraid that somehow the woman will be angry or even disgusted that I did that. I think it's coming from my low self-esteem. For example, if I see a woman walking by, I try to smile, but sometimes I'm intimidated and get nervous and she won't like my gesture of smiling. That's from Akshay. So what's happening is you're feeling a lot of tension in your body. And that tension is binding up right in here. And so what you got to learn to do is relax and let go. Relax and let go. And so what's happening is the tension is really being caused by you, not by them. It's your interpretations of their reactions. It's your interpretations of how they're going to perceive you or what's going to happen to you. So as you learn to relax, and that's what that first meditation I started off with, as you learn to relax, you're going to start to feel a flow down here. Matter of fact, the tension is going to start to disappear. And as you get more comfortable, you're going to feel more emotions, you're going to feel more connected, and that's what's going to make it easier and easier for you to do it. So as of right now, what I would recommend doing is, one, the meditation I started off with, the releasing process I started off with in the beginning of this video. But number two is to go out and do a few highs and then sit down and do the process. Do maybe 10 of them, 5 to 10. Set yourself a timer, and you got to do 5 to 10 highs as you pass women in, let's say, 3 minutes. Or actually, no, that would be stops. So let's say you do 10 highs in 2 minutes. Okay, and then whatever stirs up, I want you to sit down and do that process with it for a few minutes, 5 minutes or whatever. Let go of all the emotions, the feelings, the images, and then get up and do it again. And then sit down and meditate again. Do that. If you can do at least 3 or 4 rounds of that a day for a month, notice how much you change. Matter of fact, inside of a week, you should change. Probably inside of a few days. If you can only get in 2 rounds of that a day, that's fine. But if you can get in 4 or 5 some days, even 6, maybe spend an hour, half hour doing it, you could radically change the way you feel around women. Then you could quickly move from smiling and saying hi and throwing out compliments to actually stopping and having a quick conversation, asking them a question. And you can start to do like 5 stops with questions in about 3 minutes, real quick questions. And then sit down and do the same thing. Then do another 5 and sit down and do the same thing. And as you get more and more comfortable doing the releasing, the meditation, and doing the stops, you're going to be able to slowly progress and climb up a little bit more until basically, you know, the stuff that seemed hard starts to seem ridiculously easy, and you're going to have a whole new level of hard. Give yourself time too. See how much you can progress over a month. Keep a journal and keep writing down your successes. Every little success you get, write down in the journal. Every time you notice yourself getting a little better at something, a little more comfortable, a little more open, write it down. And then share it on the page. Because the more you share it with us, the more you'll encourage others, and then you'll also there's that sense of putting it out there, which is going to inspire you to do more. So let us know how that goes for you. And that was from Akshay. So the next one is from Kadir. Kadir writes, "Hi Brian, so apparently you're not in your mind when you speak. You're kind of in a flow state. How do you do that 1-hour Q&A videos without thinking or just being in your body? Or where those words are coming from? Where are those words coming from? I'm afraid if I stay in my body all the time, I am going to forget what I say." Well, I wouldn't say I'm in my body all the time. If I was living in my body 100% of the time, I'd probably be enlightened. But I do flow a lot when I speak. I don't think as much, and I kind of stop, and you'll notice I'll stop and I'll feel for the questions. I'm looking down and feeling for the emotions and the feelings and what my gut's telling me to say. And I'm looking past all the heavy and doubting emotions to the sense of courage and acceptance, peace, the lighter emotions, and then I'm letting the answers come from that. And that's kind of how flow state works. The more you can get used to doing that, the more it'll just become more natural. In the beginning, it's hard. In the beginning, you do a little bit, and then you kind of lose it, and a little bit, and you lose it. And that's fine. But later, it just starts to become more and more natural. It's something that actually, if you can get 1 minute now, and in no time you'll have 2, and then 3, and then 4. And yeah, you'll go in and out. You'll have periods where you start to think about something, like during this video, I can't tell you how many times I started to think about something and I just let that go, kind of let that go and come back. I don't even think about saying, can I let that go and come back? I just feel my mind pulling, and then I just move back. And I come right back down into my body when I do it. It's so automatic now. So you got to develop that sense of experience. So what I'd recommend you do is practice just letting go of all the little distractions. Walk down the street and notice how many things your mind wants to wander to, and see if you can let it go and just get present, like a walking meditation. Present with enjoying the feelings in the moment. So as you walk down the street, you see a pretty girl go by, your mind starts to wander and think about, the fact you want to go on a date. No, come back and just relax into your body and enjoy the experience of seeing her. And just enjoy that moment with her. And then as soon as she's passed, let that go. And then you see a dog, and you just enjoy the dog for a minute. Maybe even go over and pet it. And then you continue on down the street, and maybe you see, you notice the sun is setting behind a building, and you enjoy that for a little bit. And then as you turn away from that, let that go. And practice just continually doing this. And that's kind of going to teach, that's the beginning. It's going to teach you to let go. And then the next thing you want to do is start bringing that into conversation as much as possible. As soon as you feel your body tightening and getting nervous, can you let that go and relax and create a sense of opening here again? And even put those tubes in like I did in the beginning of the video, and see if you can just let the tubes relax you and just calm down. When I'm in a conversation, I find myself starting to go into my head, I just stop, feel my back, feel my legs, feel my feet, and do the same exact thing. And then what happens is I feel myself literally clunk back down in my body. Probably not quite a clunk, it used to be, but I kind of just drop right back down in my body, and I just feel good again. And then I continue on. And I literally go from getting anxious to enjoying the person in front of me again, to relaxing with the person in front of me again. And it changes the whole tone of the conversation. So, next question. Let us know how that works for you. This next one is from Arch. This is question number 5. Actually, we have 7 questions today. So, Arch. Let's see here. Hi, Brian. I've been working with the Sedona method, which is a releasing process or releasing technique system, this past few months. I feel so much lighter now. There's something in Sedona that I'm not getting, though. It's something you've repeated a number of times as well. Why does wanting stop you from having? Why does wanting stop you from having? I understand that wanting implies that you don't have it right now, but why is that a problem for getting it in the future? If I want dinner, I lack dinner. Exactly. So you just said an important part. If I want, there's a want, there's a feeling of lack. But then I go and get dinner. What's the problem? On the contrary, law of polarity says that if I can see what I want clear in my head, it means there's a way to get it, and that is absolutely right. In my life, I wanted many things, but then I worked for them and finally got them. So what's behind all the wanting stops you? What's behind all this wanting that stops you from having philosophy? Excuse me. This confuses people all the time. Wanting implies lack, though, you said it. So if I'm lacking dinner and I want dinner, then what happens is I move immediately from want to choice. Now I'm going to go get dinner. I don't sit there and go, oh, I really want dinner, why I'm going to get dinner. I go and start imagining myself having dinner, picking up dinner, seeing myself with dinner. It's almost like if I'm going to the Thai restaurant down the street, which I've been to many times, as soon as I decide I'm going there, I move from want. Like at first I feel I want dinner, then I come out of want into, you know what, I'm gonna go get that Thai food. That's a sense of choice. Then I start imagining myself at the Thai restaurant, picking up the food, that all kind of flashes through my mind. So I've moved from trying to figure out how to get dinner from images of figuring out how to get dinner, which is the want and the lack, to images of me receiving dinner. And because I don't have any stories between me and my ability to go down to the Thai restaurant and get food, I can make that transition really easily. Now, try to make the same transition from wanting $1 million to choosing $1 million. Like seeing yourself with it, having it, enjoying it, as if you're going to have it right now. And there's no resistance, your whole body feels good. I'm gonna enjoy it as if it's real now, not in the future, not 1 minute from now. And you see that, and you're just gonna, and you just know it's there. It's there now, almost in an energetic world, and and the physical world has to catch up with that energetic world. Because if I stay in want, what i.e. implies lack, me trying to figure out how to get, then what happens is I keep creating images of it in the future, trying to get it, or somewhere down the line, and that future keeps moving forward as I move forward. I never catch up to it. So at some point I have to bring that future to me. I don't go chase the future, I have to, in a sense, bring the future to me so it can show up in my reality. Now, once I go into choice and I can feel myself really having it, there's going to be, because we're in a physical world, there's a little bit of a time lag, but the world is going to quickly catch up with it, and I'm going to start to receive. This is the same thing with women. This is the same thing with all kinds of stuff, money, health. So think about it this way. Does a man who's really good with women, knows he can get women, sit there and picture him sitting in his apartment wanting a woman? Does he sit there going, how do I get her? I gotta go, I hope I meet a girl tonight. Or do you picture this guy more like going, you know what, I want a woman, boom, I'm gonna go out and meet one. And he goes down the bar, maybe he's good in bars. And does he go to that bar expecting to meet a woman before he gets there? And is that want, or is that choice? Is that expectancy? So he's already shifted from want, I wanna meet a woman tonight, to I'm gonna go meet one, period. So he's moved out of want to choice, and he feels really good about that choice because it's normal in his world, and so it quickly shows up into his life. Because when he walks up to the woman, his nervous system, because it seems so normal and he has such a strong expectation, doesn't shut off on her, doesn't reject her, doesn't shut down right here and tighten up and push her back. What it does is it opens up, relaxes when he walks up to her and actually enjoys her more, and she feels that. She feels his emotion, she feels his turn on, she feels his sense of expectancy, she feels his belief in his ability to give her the benefit of his masculine, to give her pleasure. And that confidence then pulls her towards him. So hopefully that answered your question. This is a really important question. We've all got to let go of wanting to have. So would you rather want beautiful women in your life, or would you rather have them? That's the question, right? So can you let go of the wanting for having? It's a different state of being. Having is an acceptance, this feeling of acceptance, it just is. Wanting is way down, this feeling of trying to figure it out, lusting, chasing, and you gotta come out of it. If you go into a want for a little bit, it points you in the direction of where you wanna go. A desire points you in the direction of where you wanna go. But you can't stay there and get it. You have to get out of that place. So, the next one, hope that answers your question. I'd love to hear some comments on that from you guys. Next one is from somebody, ECVENTOR, or 0R, Esavent or. Hey Brian, I have a question. I have an issue looking people in the eyes. I had this for as long as I can remember. Then I learned that I should look people in the eyes, and I started forcing myself to do it. But that is distracting for me. That is distracting me from the actual conversation. Usually I would look at people's mouths, and that way I would be able to focus a bit more on the message. I don't have any hearing issues, so that is out of the question. What should I do to make this natural? The reason you look at them in the mouth is because there's less tension. That's really it. When you look them in the eyes, you feel more seen. When you look down at the mouth, you feel less seen. I've done the same thing. Also, the mouth has a lot of facial expressions, so for a nice guy, they look at the mouth and they can look at all the little expressions around the mouth to figure out who to be and how to be to make this person happy, which implies a little codependence and nice guy syndrome. So when you start to look at the eyes, you start to feel more of the presence of the person. You feel they can see into you and you can see into them. So you're going to tighten up if you're scared. And so it's really good practice to start doing it and to let yourself tighten up. And the meditation we did in the beginning will be great for helping you to get comfortable with this. Just imagine looking people in the eyes and doing it. But then also go out, look people in the eyes, talk to them, just like we did. Do 5 stops a day, 10 stops a day. Just ask a quick question. It doesn't even have to be anything big. Or just walk down the street and look at people. Go in and talk. If you can't stop strangers yet, go in and talk to cashiers. And just get used to looking people in the eyes, like 5 a day. And then sit down and do that meditation. Sit down and ground your body and get it to open. And then go do it again and see if the next time you can get it a little more relaxed right down through here. What you're going to find is as you relax down through here, you're going to feel less tension, less worry, less self-doubt, and you're going to become more comfortable looking them in the eyes. When the nervous system settles and all the spinning and racing in your head settles, you're going to start to be able to connect to that person in front of you better. You're going to see more emotions, more feelings, more sensations coming off that person, and it's going to make the conversation 10 times more easy, and they're going to feel more connected to you because you're not giving them a push back. Because right now, when you tighten up, there's probably a little bit of this, a push back. But as you relax, there's a sense of opening and connection. That's what you want. But to get there, you're going to have to go through the push. Don't let your nice guy worry about what people think of you, because you're going to be like this for a while. And every time you're like this, then you practice letting go of a little bit more. Then you do it again, and you practice letting go of a little bit more. Then again, and in time, you'll start to relax all the way through your body. You'll feel solid, you'll feel free, you'll feel connected. And you'll be able to talk to the person in front of you, no problem. While looking in the eyes, that is. So start that practice now and give yourself a period. Start with, I would say on something like that, a week, 2 weeks, 30 days, depending on how uncomfortable you feel like you are. Something like that can change really fast, actually. But moving up to something like where you're actually, pushing tension, flirting, hitting on her, things like that, that's going to take longer, okay? So I recommend you get started right away and then just let us know about your results. I'd love to hear about them. And the last one is from Omri Barach. I want to make sure I'm saying your last name right. And I think I know Omri. Hey Brian, absolutely love your work. Is this the Omri I know? I don't know if it is. Okay, Omri from Bucharest. Awesome. So hey Brian, absolutely love your work. Thank you for all the videos and teachings. I was wondering about releasing good emotions as well. Excuse me. If during the work I feel joy, courage, love, would you recommend letting go of these feelings as well? So this goes back to a releasing question. So in releasing, we have all these emotions we're letting go of. There's a great book by Hawkins I recommend. Sedona Method's another good one. Larry Crane has some stuff, but the Hawkins one really does a lot of work with the emotions. So when you're letting go of emotions, there's apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, pride, and then there's courage, acceptance, peace. So if you're looking at Hawkins versions, it's apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, courage, acceptance, love, peace. And so courage, acceptance, love, peace is where all the magic happens. When you're living in those states where you're feeling courageous, you're feeling acceptance, you're feeling love, life is easy. You walk up to a girl and she feels your heart open and she feels you connected and she feels those emotions transferring and she's curious. When you're down in the lower emotions, she feels the heaviness. So what he's asking is, as we're doing releasing, do we let go of all these really good emotions too? Courage, acceptance, love, peace, all this stuff up here. Joy, things like that. And the answer is simply yes. Let them all go. The reason that is whatever you let go of will only come back and feel better. Even joy, even happiness, even peace. It just keeps expanding. But whatever you try to hold on to and try to contain is going to eventually start to fight you. And it's going to start to go down the emotional scale. So that peace will start, because you're trying to hold on to it, you're hoarding it. It's going to start to go down, and eventually you're going to feel more frustration and anger and so forth, because you're trying to trap it or catch it. Imagine you're in love with a girl, and then imagine trying to hold on to her, like ask her everywhere she's going, make sure she's not hanging out with the wrong people, start to control her whole reality because you're afraid of losing her. How long until you lose her? You're going to lose her pretty fast. If you got a dog, grab your dog and hold on really tight. Squeeze him, and don't really hurt him. But the idea is, if you hold on really tight, that dog's going to want to try to get away because it feels you smothering it. So it's the same thing with the emotions. You got to constantly release them so that they're cycling. Same thing with money. Money is, if you try to hoard money, you'll usually end up in trouble later. Something will happen. But if you invest your money, even in conservative stocks, now you're putting it out in the world to help build the economy and help other people, and then it comes back and gives you dividends and returns. And that's all based on emotions and so forth. So you want to be investing, you want to be helping, you want to be supporting, you want to always be giving back. That's why I do these videos, because the more I put out there, the more that comes back and helps me, and the more that helps you, and the more we can all build a better world together. Same with the workshops, same with the seminars. We want to help as many guys as we can become confident, powerful men, because it's only going to make a better world. So yes, release all those emotions too. With that said, I want to check in with the team really quick. You probably heard some noises in the background, typing and so forth. That's our team. And the team mascot was walking through. That's the dog making all the noise. So do we have anything coming up on the
Yeah, there's some live questions.
Okay.
One, DudeWatt212 asks, how long to keep the conversation going during an approach? what is the proper balance? And you mentioned day game versus nighttime.
Repeat that question with my.
Yeah, I heard. So, Dude a lot, is that what you said?
Dude what?
Dude what? Dude Watt 212 says, how long do you keep the conversation going during approach? That's really a hard question to answer because every approach is different. Every girl is different. You're different on every approach. So an approach and that might be solid in 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and another one might need 10 or 15 minutes. If she's really shut off, nervous and walled off, and it takes you 10 minutes to get her open and connecting to you and actually investing and leaning in, then that's what it takes. Especially with somebody that's learning. Somebody that's more advanced can open somebody else up a lot faster. But if you feel a really solid connection, let's say I've literally met a girl, said 1 or 2 sentences, she was leaving, I was leaving, got her number, ended up on a date with her, and those usually aren't solid because they happen so fast, but it happens. So if there's a strong connection and a strong sense of rapport, even in a few seconds, then it will most likely be there. Now, what often happens with you guys is you get a lot of attraction going, like this fun, playful energy, but there's no sense of connection, no sense of something more, no sense of them leaning into you. So what happens is they don't end up calling you back or responding to you later. That's a very common problem. So you either want to work on rapport, get them leaning into you. If you're running all attraction game and you're just trying to turn them on a lot, get them leaning into you because they're more in that mode of being a party girl. So that's the real question. Is she asking you questions? Is she curious about you? Does she seem like there's a sense of leaning in energetically? That's what you're looking for. So really pay attention to how it feels more than looking at your watch trying to calculate a time frame. Now, getting a girl to lean into you can take anywhere from a few seconds all the way to, I don't know, it could take 5 minutes, depending on how her walls are. If it takes her a while to really invest in you, make sure you spend a little time connecting with her after she starts investing in you before you move on. And that's basically it. If it's even better if you can sit and have a little quick instant date with her, even if it's only a few minutes. So there's so many scenarios and possibilities here, it's hard to answer that question, but I think that basically covers it. What was the second part of it?
You just mentioned like the proper balance in day game versus at nighttime.
In what sense? In timing?
Yeah, like time of day, if that affects it.
Bar
versus street,
Not really. I would say, again, you're going to have different energies. Girls in bars are going to be typically it's a louder, crazier environment. Day game is typically a quieter, calmer environment. So you need to calibrate to who you're being. In a bar, you can be more touchy, more aggressive, quicker. You can be more forward, typically quicker. During the day, usually you want to start out a little slower. Not that you can't as you get more solid, but you want to start out playing with a little more subtlety. During the day, there's a sense of being seen easier. Like when you're talking to somebody, they notice all your sub-communication much better. Now you go into a bar, and it's loud, it's noisy, it's dark, there's music, people have been drinking. They're not going to notice as much of your little tiny gestures as they're going to notice your solidness, your forwardness, your confidence, especially at first, until they at least go into a bubble with you. So that's the real difference between the two. During the day, you're going to need to almost learn to relax and a little bit more. And you still need to be, you can't be lower than that, but you need to be feeling comfortable being seen more on an emotional level. At night, you can be more bold, more crazy, more loud. That's why some guys prefer night over day, but really it's not that different. It's just a bigger energy or a quieter energy depending on where you're at. As far as the time frame it takes, I've seen girls during the day, at night, let's jump to night. I've seen girls at night be totally walled off and it takes a lot of work, and I've seen girls at night just jump right on top of you, just about sitting on your lap in seconds and be all over you. And I've seen the same thing during the day. An example, out here in California, down at 3rd Street, there's a lot of girls on vacation from different countries. And sometimes you approach some of those girls and they're looking to have fun, they're looking to play, and it's day game, and they're like instantly like, oh, who are you? They're a foreigner, they've been here a few days, and bam, it's on like that. Where another girl might be getting off work and she's rushing to another job, or she's rushing to school and she's in a hurry, and you stop her and she's like, I'm gonna be late. And so there's a whole different energy. You might have to walk with her for a bit. that's going on, and you have to deal with all that energy as it's being processed. So the situation is what you're really dealing with. At night, you might walk up and she might be out with her sister and her brother, well, let's say her sister, and probably not her brother. That happens, her brother. I can think of a time when a girl was out with her brother, and they're all out together. It's actually several times, and they're hanging out. And so the girl feels a little more nervous because she feels like she's going to be judged by her family. And I'm thinking of a specific time when that happened. So it's going to be different than if you saw her alone or just with a few of her friends that are a little wilder and more carefree. And so just notice that's really what you're paying attention to, is who they're being in that moment. Do we got another one?
Yeah. Jeremiah Spoon says, I've been told by some female friends that I seem to be a little eager when approaching women. I'm a really good opener, but I lose them after 5 or 10 minutes maybe.
Okay, so Jeremiah Spoon says he's too eager when he opens women, and he loses them. He does great opens, but he loses them after 5 minutes. There's probably a lot of wanting going on there, a lot of desire and wanting, and you're not in having. And so what happens is, I don't know, I almost have to ask you some questions. What happens to you after 5 minutes? Do you start to get nervous? Do you start to think a lot? Do you run out of things to say? Do you shut off from your emotions? Do you go up here? The key is to start to ground more. If you feel yourself getting nervous after 2 or 3 minutes and it's going well, you got to relax back and ground more. Are you starting to get too pushy and pushing? I'll give you one example. I had a client that said women don't like him. And he said, I don't do well with women. And I watched him open, and immediately every girl he opened liked him, like that. It was freaking on, and it was solid, and she looked right into his eyes, and cool dude. And I was like, he did a great job starting this conversation. But within a minute or two, when the girl started to show interest, when she started to show interest back, he got weird. He started doing all these weird movements, disconnecting, pulling back. And then the girls would reject him because he got weird. And then he'd walk over and go, see, girls don't like me. I don't get it. I don't get why none of these girls like me. And I was like, because you're being weird. They actually do like you. They like you right when you approach, but after a few minutes, your subcommunication just goes to shit. He had no idea. He had no idea. I had to show him. We have to get video and show him how he's being, because he had no idea. He was coming out of his body up into his head, starting to act goofy, starting to entertain, and then he would lose the girls. So there might be something like that going on. A lot of guys turn into dancing monkeys when they realize girls like them. A lot of them shut off from their emotions when they realize girls like them. So these are the questions I'd have for you is what's going on with you after 4 or 5 minutes? Are you getting more turned on, more comfortable, more feeling your legs more? Are you enjoying her more? Or are you getting more nervous, worried, thinking? And if you've been rejected a bunch of times after 4 or 5 minutes, there's probably a pattern at 4 or 5 minutes you're going to get more nervous. And so that pattern needs to be broken. If you can get out to the Fearless Man Live this weekend, or one of them that's coming up, that'd be a great way for us to look at you and with one of the models and see how your subcommunication's behaving. But that would be the best way. Another way is for us to talk to you a little bit and get a feel for where you're at. Because I'm not sure what's going on with this based on what you said, other than something goes wrong after 4 or 5 minutes, and I guarantee you it's with you. On some level, you're disconnecting. So the first thing I would tell you to do is do the meditation for disapproval. And every time you get rejected, do a little bit more of it and see if you can just learn to relax a little bit more. What I'd actually imagine you should do is practice relaxing and seeing if you can get past, like, say, start with 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, and see where that moment is. And then see if you can expand it out by 20 seconds at a time till pretty soon you're just getting more. There'll be a point at which, just like I've seen so many people do, where you just get so comfortable that it all takes off. But there might be something specific going on with you that we need to look at, and we can desensitize all that once we see it. So what else do we got?
Jesse says, can you please talk about what you mean by doing it only when you feel good? Is that, and then I'm not sure what he means by this, but is that energy vibes? Doing it
only when it feels good. Is he talking about texting? The text from earlier that I was referring?
He was talking about, something you were talking about earlier.
Well, if texting or, look, how you're feeling always comes across. Your emotions, your emotional state. If you're feeling confident and solid and you send a text, you're going to write a text that's congruent with your emotional state. If you're feeling nervous and insecure, the chances of you making writing something weird in that text go up drastically. It's really what it comes down to. always wait. I clean up my emotional state before I send a text or a communication. If it's a girl I've been seeing and let's say we had a disagreement, I want to clean up my emotional state and then go see her. I want to get to where I'm feeling somewhat solid again. I'm feeling some courage, some peace. So I'm past all that. Because if I come in reactive, which is what's going to happen, let's say I come in with a little bit of anger or frustration or insecurity, I'm going to be reactive when I write. I'm going to be trying to get something from that other person. If I'm nervous and insecure, I'm trying to get their validation. If I'm angry, I'm going to try to make it my point across or get them to adjust the way they're being to my point of view. And they're going to feel that. And then they're going to reject me. So the other way to be is to get to where you're accepting and free, whether she responds or not. And you can just enjoy her. And that's going to get 10 times better results because she's going to feel. Because what women get really attracted to is a sense of freedom in a man, this indifference to outcome, this freedom, this man that, like, he doesn't need her to be happy. He's going to be happy either way. And literally, you want to get that way. If this girl doesn't show up, another girl will. You know what? And I'll enjoy her. And maybe she won't show up this week. Maybe she'll show up next week. I can't tell you how many times girls have disappeared on guys like this because, like the one guy I was talking about earlier, she really liked him but was nervous, or something came up, or they wanted a relationship and the guy didn't. And then the guy's like, okay, well, you know, had a great time. And is still really sweet to the girl and treats her well. And she says, okay, and she lets him go. And then 2 weeks later, she's calling him. Sometimes calling him just because she wants sex. And she's like, you know, they've had sex a few times, but he didn't want a relationship. 2 weeks later, she wants sex again. And she's got, oh, you know what, I got over that. And that stuff happens all the time. Why? Because the guy didn't get angry, didn't push it, didn't act weird. He had a sense of abundance. He knew that it's okay to let her go and be who she wants to be because somebody that matches who I want to be is going to show up right behind her. Okay? So that's what you got to realize. It's the same thing with texting. You want that energy conveyed in the texts. And don't worry about trying to convey it. Just get in that state and it will convey naturally. So, anything else?
Yeah. Kiko FX Designs says, I think she is interested in me, but I think she is more interested in my digital work. How can I change the tables on her?
Well, that's also a vague question. She's interested in you, but so she must be a client. I'm guessing you're talking about a client? Are you talking about a girl that's just a friend? How do you know this? You know, what's going on with you that you know this? So these are vague questions. I need to get more detail. And so you might want to ask these guys, give me some more detail. Because I don't know how she's being with you to answer that question. You know, I don't know what she's saying or doing. I don't even know. Sometimes I see clients tell me, literally, guys, this girl's not interested in me. And then I watch them. I'm thinking of a client specifically. I watch them in front of the girl, and I'm like, the girl totally likes you. And he's like, she does? Yeah. I was like, and I remember the client I'm talking about. We were at a bar. He ran into her at a bar. Said, yeah, I like her, but I don't know how to get her interested. I said, dude, she likes you. Just grab her and kiss her. He did. They ended up making out and hanging out all night long because he couldn't see the subtleties of what's going on. So if I can't, with that much information, I don't think I can really answer that question. Other than flirt, man. Do you take the principles and use them? Play with some tension, push some boundaries. Has she rejected you yet? Have you tried anything? Have you leaned over and started bumping? I mean, these types of questions, I don't know where you're at with it. But do you feel solid? Do you feel attractive? Do you feel turned on when you're around her? Do you hide your turn on? These are just some basic stuff I can give you. Do you create a container? Do you lead when you're with her? All the basics of Fearless. Learn that stuff and then apply it and see what happens. So what else do we got?
Well, nobody's perfect 06. Just he was talking about how the thing that frustrates him the most is learning and becoming familiar with this stuff late in life.
How old is he?
He says I'm not far from age 30, and it seems most guys have this figured out by early 20s.
Not true. I can't tell you how many clients come through here that are in their 30s, 40s, and even 50s. So you're actually figuring it out early in life by age 30. I didn't even start down this path till my mid 30s, and I just went gung ho at it and worked. I also had a huge understanding of the mind already. I was already a hypnotherapist. I was already working with lots of clients. I had deep understanding of codependency. I was doing lots of desensitization work. So I took all that work into it when I was doing it and started quickly changing my reality and then helping others, and it just kind of all blew up. But yeah, you got plenty of time. I mean, I don't know why are you worried at age 30? Are you wanting to get married soon? Are you thinking that girls will think you're old? If you think that, then you're completely wrong. There's so many girls out there that want to date guys in their 30s, that are young, 40s, 50s, it doesn't matter. That one's a super easy to surmount. If you want to get married soon, then you've still got plenty of time to get married. But that's an easy process. You could have this stuff mastered in months potentially. If you're really bad, maybe it'd take you a year, and then you find yourself a wife and get married. So, and if you want to just go out and have fun, you have plenty of time for that too. I promise you that. Anything else?
There are a couple more. Do you want one more, maybe?
Yeah, give me one more. It's
Okay.
after 7 now,
Yeah.
so we're gonna close on this one, guys. And I highly recommend for some of you guys, when you give me these vague questions, it's harder for me to answer. The last question wasn't vague. I appreciate that. But when you give me, it's harder for me to answer. If you got some stuff going on with you, and my answer doesn't 100% fit your situation because you got some deep subcommunication stuff you're not even seeing, then that's where you want to get into a live event. Definitely get into the Fearless Man Live we're having this weekend, or the one we're having in Vegas, and let us take a look at you. They're cheap events, they're inexpensive, and they have a ton of value. And you make friends that'll last a lifetime, and you get to see the model work in person. You get to ask your questions. We get to look at who you're being. And I think personally it's one of the most fun events I do, because I get a group full of guys and I get to really just unload a lot of data on them, really customized to them. So go ahead, what you got, Mike?
Yeah. It was Jeremiah Spoon was wondering if you can expand on getting girls to lean in more, and what that rhythm kind of looks and feels like.
Okay, let's see if there's a way I can explain that without being too analytical. And it's hard to explain something that you almost have to see, and sometimes. And some of this stuff you almost need to see. So it might be good for me to bring in a model and do some demos of this information and have them play back and forth. But in old pickup lingo, they would call that IOIs, indicators of interest, and investing. There's different ways people would say it. But what happens is a woman will start to, like, let's say for example, a woman's sitting in front of you, and I say something really simple like, "Hey, where are you from? You got an interesting accent. Where are you from?" And she says, "Oh, I'm from New York." That's not very much investment, is it? Now she could say, "I'm from New York." "Oh, where are you from?" Still no investment. She asked me a question, but did you notice the tone and the kind of the head shake side to side? Not much investment. And she goes, but let's say she goes, "Oh, I'm from New York, and I just moved here like a month ago. Are you from here?" And she starts to lean in a little and starts to look into your eyes a little deeper. That's investment. She starts to giggle and laugh a lot in front of you at stuff you say. She starts to stand a little closer to you than she maybe does other people. You can feel her energy leaning towards you. Even when she looks away, you can feel her kind of glancing at you or feeling you from the side. She's starting to invest in you. When she's looking away, she might be side glancing a little bit. She smiles and looks down sometimes when you look at her. We have a whole video series, sex signals. There's one that's on the YouTube channel, has 5 of the sex signals, and there's another product if you want to buy it. It's not that expensive. It has 20 some sex signals that kind of show women showing interest in guys, investing, leaning in. I'm talking to Yaz during this whole video about all the different ways women invest and what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what's going on inside them. I think that's a powerful product for you to understand this better. But do you see what I'm talking about here? There's little bits. She might be curling her hair, but she could also be twirling her hair and disinterested and bored. So you've got to be able to feel the difference between those two. If she's twirling her hair and leaning into you, and you can feel this sense of excitement, that's one thing. But if she's twirling her hair and kind of off in the distance, that's another thing. She also might be nervous and looking away a lot. You guys take that as disinterest, but she's actually just shy. And if you take 2 or 3 minutes and talk to her, she might open up and start bubbling up to you a lot. She might start asking you a lot of questions. You crack a stupid joke, like one that's not even very good, and watch and see if she laughs. Grab her hand, see if if she squeezes back unconsciously. A little squeeze back usually indicates interest. Put your arm around her and see and for a little bit, just kind of slide your hand on her back, then come back if you're in a bar, and notice how she feels. Does she lean into it a little bit? Does she pull away? It's all these little energies like this. That are at play. Is she have her legs crossed when she's talking to you and doing this kind of number where she's crossing her legs? So there's lots of stuff like this, and but it's not literally the physical behavior. That's part of it. What you want to look at is the level of turn on, and you can feel it in the body. Feel the turn on, the excitement, the openness. That's really most important, because if she shut down doing all this and her energy's pulling this way, you might be reading it wrong. I've seen girls turned on for the guy over here, and the guy over here thinks it's for him, because they're clueless, or because guys aren't picking it up well. So this is something you got to go out and practice. Another way you can practice it is go out and watch guys and girls in bars interact, on dates interact. Start to notice, is this girl interested in this guy or not? Can I tell if she's interested? Is she leaning in? Is she showing interest? Is she not? Is she pulling away? Is she turning away from him? I've seen girls on dates with guys that are totally being bored, and I've seen girls totally leaning in. I've seen guys totally bored with girls while the girl's leaning in. You can see it all if you start to pay attention, and it will teach you everything about what you want to see with your date. Eye contact. Is eye contact solid? So sometimes if the eye contact's really solid and she's smiling a lot and leaning, that's really good too. Does she touch a lot? Some girls will start touching you a lot. Little things like this. So check out that product. It's called Sex Signals. Make sure, can you put that in the description? Okay, put that in the description. If you guys want to see it, click a link to it. It's not that expensive. It's a great product for understanding this stuff a little bit better. But those are some good examples. And actually check out the video. There's a video with me going through 5 of them with Yaz. It's a very popular video. Should be easy to find. Do we know the title on that video?
The original?
Yeah.
5 signs.
5 signs
She likes you.
she likes you. 5 signs she likes you. Look that one up, and that'll give you a little bit more insight. You'll see some information in there. So with that said, I want to thank you guys for being on this call. We'll be back here next week as usual. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and tell all your friends to subscribe. Make sure to share the video if you think it's a great video and you think it can benefit somebody. I'd appreciate some shares, because shares are always awesome. Make sure to comment. Let me know what you're learning, what you're not learning, what you want to learn more of. Try some of this stuff out that we've talked about, and let me know what happens with that, because we do read this stuff. That's where all these questions come from. A lot of them come from these comments. And did I miss anything? I think I got it all right. I feel like I missed something. Okay.
Fearless Man Live link is in
Oh
the
yeah,
chat.
and make sure to check out the Fearless Man Live. The Fearless Man Live is this weekend, it's what is it? 197, right? 197. See, I forget all this stuff. The team takes care of it. It's 197. It's 2 full days. We're going to have models there. We're going to be doing lots of demonstration and work. We're going to be looking at your specific scenario. It's in Santa Monica. Beautiful women everywhere. Sun, beach. It's an amazing event, and what I recommend is, for that price, if you can get out, it can be life-changing, especially for some of you guys that just don't know what's going on with you. We can take a deeper look at what's going on with you and help you to understand it better, and give you some stuff to start moving through it and getting out the other side. So with that said, get out to the Fearless Man Live, click that link, or check out Sex Signals, and remember, only the confident really live. See you in the next video.